How are the Pittsburghers that you're talking to, how do they feel about the president's visit?
Look, Jake, I have not seen a person with a dry eye in this neighborhood all day. People walking their dogs, moving around the neighborhood, and now this. That sadness, that absolute shock at what has happened has turned into anger with news of the president's visit. There are several hundred people here at this protest getting ready to march just as the president is expected to land in Pittsburgh and move around the city. There is a second protest in the neighborhood. President Donald Trump in this neighborhood tonight is definitely unwelcome.
I'm just going to pay my respects.
The U.S. president, typically consoler in chief at times of national tragedy. Few here feeling it today.
This is supposed to be a land where you feel free, feel to practice your religion, free to be who you are, and it doesn't feel that way anymore.
Suganya Samora, a first-generation Indian American, works in Squirrel Hill, where the synagogue massacre happened. She, like others in this neighborhood we spoke with today, says the president's visit is unwelcome.
I would prefer if he didn't come, because I think his message, I feel that the people that listen to his message and agree with his message is a message of hate and not of togetherness. And I don't think we should be blaming everything on Trump, because these people felt this way before Trump, but it has emboldened them in a way that I didn't see possible when I moved here, when my family moved here for a better life.
His visit brings a mix of sadness and outrage from this largely Democratic neighborhood in this solidly blue town. The rabbi of Tree of Life Synagogue said the president is welcome, but won't attend any of his events.
Do you plan to see President Trump during his visit today?
I have no plans at this time for any involvement. My attention will be with the family.
Allegheny County Executive Rich Fitzgerald says the White House was in contact with him, the mayor, and the governor about attending an event with the president. All three turned the White House down.
In any other case, you would want perhaps the president there to console people, to show that this is of national importance and that the entire nation is grieving. Why not now?
Well, I think, again, it's a time for this, and I think certain people and individuals to heal a community, and I'm not so sure that would be the case in this circumstance.
Kathy Wolf lives across the street from the synagogue. She's preparing a sign of protest in case the president or anyone from the White House shows up.
Words have consequences, that you can't preach hate and then be surprised when irrational people, take your hatred to heart and act on it. Your words, if you're the president of the United States, your words have consequences.
And that is the message we see in this crowd tonight. Your words have consequences. There is great concern that what the president brings to this town will be something that is completely unwanted, and that there will be, I mean, I hate to say it, but there will be an embarrassing moment for Pittsburgh where the president is protested, and it will not be what they want to see
Welcome.
Today.
We're so happy everyone is here.
People are being laid to rest today and the rest of this week, and they didn't want to see this sort of protest. And it's just, it is not clear where this is going. There is another protest near here, and we'll be watching it all.
Grab
Jake?
a song sheet, get a black piece of paper.
Experts, Anna, I mean, the president says he wants to go and pay his respects. This feels to me like, from his position, he's probably like, I'm damned if I do, damned if I don't. I want to go pay my respects to this community in pain, and yet I'm being faulted for going. And if I didn't go, then I'd be faulted for not going.
Look, he's not being faulted for going. I think we all expect the President of the United States to play the role of consoler-in-chief when acts call for it. The reason he's being faulted is because everything he has said beforehand and everything he has said since makes this act seem like he's checking off a box and just rings hollow. When he continues to do things like fan the flames around the caravan by sending 5,200 troops to the border, when he continues to use immigration as a political wedge. And let's remember, it's precisely the caravan issue that triggered this gunman, this killer, against the Jewish center. when he continues to do things like attack Tom Steyer, then this that he's doing is just checking off a box and has no real significance, and people can see through it.
Well, Bill, I wanted to ask you a question because last night I was filling in for Aaron Burnett, and Joan Walsh cited the fact that President Trump named you Saturday night in his speech, that the very same day that 11 Jews were massacred in Pittsburgh, Joan's point was President Trump chooses that moment to publicly criticize a prominent Jewish American critic of his. How did you take it? What did you think?
No, I just thought I was getting under his skin by trying to find a candidate to run against him in 2020, and I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt that he's just worried about that I will succeed in that effort to save the Republican Party from Donald Trump, and that he wasn't thinking about my religion, which, for all I know, he has no idea about.
Paul, sources told my colleague Jeff Zeleny that the reason President Trump is visiting today was because it's the best day on his schedule, given the string of campaign rallies that begin tomorrow and extend through the midterms. I think 11 stops in total. A White House official saying today the optics of visiting Pittsburgh on the same day as a campaign rally were not viewed as ideal.
Well, he's already held rallies after the shooting, and seems to be completely heartless to the suffering there. This obviously is not a partisan thing. We do want our president to be a healer and a consoler, but the way he has conducted himself has really, as we saw in Miguel's report, it's increased the pain of that heartbroken community. And for him to go and let's hope that he says all the right words in the right order on the teleprompter that his staff gives him. And then to go back out and not just do rallies, which is bad enough. I think it's very bad form to be political at a time like this, but rallies that are so very divisive, that are so designed to pit Americans against each other, and that could trigger and have triggered unbalanced, evil people to act. I think it's appalling judgment. It's just awful judgment. It's very unpresidential. I have to say, as a political strategy, I think it's bad strategy too, but more importantly, it's bad morality.
Simone, take a listen to former New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg, who's Jewish, talking about whether the synagogue should welcome President Trump, assuming he visits today.
Stage a photo op that would just be a photo op and not result in any meaningful change, that they shouldn't do. If they could ever get a commitment from the president that they could believe that he would do something about what's been happening here, then yes.
What would your advice be to the members of a Tree of Life Synagogue if President Trump goes there today? What would you say to them?
Well, one, I wouldn't allow the cameras to come in. I would not. If I was the communications person at the Tree of Life Synagogue, I would decline all cameras and photographers to enter in while the president, if he goes, this is assuming if he even goes.
Right.
But if the president does end up going, if he goes in there, I wouldn't allow any cameras or photographers because this is not a photo opportunity. I would absolutely allow the cameras and photographers outside in the vestibule area after the meeting has taken place, because allowing cameras and photographers in allows Donald Trump to capitalize on this moment. Allows him to look good, even though he hasn't done anything, to demonstrate that he seriously understands this moment. Not only did he hold a rally the day that the day that this terrorist attack, this massacre happened, he joked about not holding the rally because his hair got wet. He said, well, maybe I should have canceled because my hair got wet, not because 11 Americans were targeted because of their religion.
Would you, if something, God forbid, something like this were to happen at your temple, would you want President Trump there? How would you feel?
I don't know, and I've discussed that with actually people from our synagogue, and I think and many of them are not Trump fans, but they're all over the place on that. He, as the rabbi said, from Squirrel Hill, from Tree of Life, he's the president. We always welcome the president at our house of worship. I think that's an appropriate thing to say. It's the appropriate thing for the leader of the congregation to say. On the other hand, and I guess I would have that attitude. On the one hand, I would welcome him. I very much agree with Simone. I would not want cameras in there, and I myself might not attend. I wouldn't protest. I wish people wouldn't protest. I wish the president hadn't gone, honestly. But I hope the whole day goes off with a certain amount of dignity and decorum and doesn't just make this terrible sight of a tragedy become a spectacle.
Wouldn't protest. I mean, you know, this is America, and I think there's a lot of people in America who feel he cannot erase
for the same reason.
The last 2 years.
Look, I don't think, as you know, I don't think he can erase the last years in so many ways either. But I think for the same reason that one wants the president to have behaved with greater dignity, maybe the protesters could take a day off and just not show up, you know?